Guess what? In an era of mandated vaccines, pediatricians don't always vaccinate their own children, according to the CDC guidelines. Isn't that interesting? This is a story off of LewRockwell.com. Study published in 2017. They looked at 1,038 general practitioners. They found that 14% of the GPs recommended certain vaccines for their patients, but not for their own children. Oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? 14%, yes, vaccine for thee, but not for me. Among physicians who had all of their children vaccinated, 36% didn't always recommend the MMR vaccine to their childhood patients. 36%. 28%, well, 29.5%, did not always recommend meningitis C. 47% didn't always recommend hepatitis B. 27% did not always recommend the HPV vaccine. Another study published in 2012 found that 9% of pediatricians, 21% of specialized pediatricians deviated from the CDC vaccination guidelines for their own children, mostly balking over the newer vaccines that have been introduced since 2009, such as the HPV, the meningitis, the hepatitis, and the flu vaccines. Flu vaccines. You know, it's kind of interesting because we saw this story, and again, this was on the Drudge Report. Flu vaccine selections may be an ominous sign for this winter. How many times have I had Del Bigtree and other people on to talk about vaccines, flu vaccines, and so forth? And we've told you, they just go through and they, it's like they're throwing darts at a board. You know, put up all the different strains of flu that they know about, and then, you know, put those on a board and then stand back at the other end of the room and start throwing darts at it. And go, oh, those are the ones that we're going to do this year. They have no idea. They have no idea. They pick the flu vaccines, the flu strains that they're going to vaccinate for well before the flu season begins, and they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. And now this article that was linked by the Drudge Report a couple of days ago, Stat News, points out it's never an easy business to predict which flu viruses will make people sick the following winter. It's not an easy business. It's an impossible idea that you're going to pick what's going to happen to people. There's so many different strains of flu, and they're mutating all the time. What a fool's errand this is. This is why, even if these things were safe, it'd be stupid to take them. Stupid to take them. And then they've got preservatives in them. They have adjuvants in them, things to irritate your immune system that may create autoimmune disease, might create things like Guillain-Barré syndrome and so forth. So, you know, why do that? And they go on to say, there is reason to believe that 2 of the 4 choices made last winter for this upcoming season's vaccine could be off the market. They do it a year in advance. A year in advance. They got the great Karnak over there. You know, hand me the envelope. I've got the, I know exactly which strains of flu are going to be coming. Twice a year, influenza experts meet at the World Health Organization to pore over surveillance data provided by countries around the world to try to predict which strains are becoming the most dominant in the Northern Hemisphere and then which ones are going to happen in the Southern Hemisphere. The selections that officials made last week for the next Southern Hemisphere vaccine suggest that 2 of the 4 viruses in the Northern Hemisphere vaccine that doctors and pharmacies are now pressing people to get may not be optimally protective this winter. Come on, you know what a ridiculous proposition this whole thing is, right? And the pharmaceutical emperors have no clothes here. When the vaccine committees met last February, there was a lot of variation between the strain the U.S. was seeing and the viruses that were getting people sick in Canada and Europe. There was so much uncertainty, in fact, that the committee delayed making the choice for a month to try to get a clearer picture. But now they know. Now they know. And you can trust them, right? Do you really trust them? Going back to this other article from LewRockwell.com, they talk about other countries. They talk about Israel, Canada, Japan. They don't have mandatory vaccination programs. They aren't overwhelmed with infectious diseases among school children either. As a matter of fact, They had a lot of panic in the press about an outbreak of measles in Japan. They had about 100 cases at the midpoint last year that were put out there. Nobody died. Nobody died. In 2019, they had another outbreak of measles in Japan. 167 kids. Nobody died. Guess what? They got lifetime immunity, which is something that they will not get under best case circumstances with the MMR vaccine. They've had people who have been patient zero. In New York, they had 4 cases. All the patients had been vaccinated. Some of them twice. Patient 0 had been vaccinated twice. And they said, well, we got to do it 3 times now. It's never enough. And so they continue to put additives, adjuvants, they call it, in the vaccines to try to irritate your immune system, hoping that that'll trick your immune system into making lifetime antibodies. But it doesn't work. But it does introduce other complications. It's reported that measles caused 110,000 deaths worldwide in 2017, mostly for kids under the age of 5. But if you go back and you look at the history in America and in developed countries when we didn't vaccinate for measles, we didn't see that happening. And so when you look at these measles deaths and the totals that are put out there, just understand these are coming from undeveloped countries where people are dying of hygiene issues. This is not something that is coming from measles. This is something that is happening because of complications in their unsanitary conditions, a lack of health care and so forth. Starvation is being attributed to measles. And this is the way these companies lie to us. And just remember, not this summer, the year before, the case in Samoa. You had 2 toddlers brought in, given the MMR vaccine, to be given the MMR vaccine. One toddler was vaccinated, immediately died. Right there, then and there, immediately died. The other parent said, okay, we're not going to get our shot today. We're going to leave. They forced her. They took the kid from her, forced the vaccine on the child. That child immediately died. And people were outraged, rightfully so. What did they say? They said, well, it's not the fault of the vaccine company. It's not the fault of the hospital. It's the nurse's fault for doing that. They must have known that there was something wrong with that vaccine. Oh, wait, I didn't think anything could ever go wrong with vaccines. We don't have to worry about the vaccine being safe and effective. They've been given immunity by the federal government. You can't sue them if the vaccine harms you. And even if the vaccine were safe and effective, what if it's not manufactured to be safe in a safe way? What if it's, and this is the case that came up in Samoa, they said, well, maybe it wasn't stored properly. Now we've got another variable involved here, right? But don't worry, the vaccine companies will always be held harmless. The hospitals will be held harmless. It'll be the nurses that will be on the hook for this. And then we have the pharmaceutical companies actually becoming vampires here at the border. They're luring Mexicans across the border to get their blood. Can't make this stuff up, folks. This is ProPublica. And, of course, they're very upset about the fact that the Mexicans are not getting paid enough for their blood. But the key thing is that U.S. donors are still allowed to give plasma up to 104 times a year. In Mexico, you can't sell your blood. They've banned that since 1987. So they're enticing people to come across with money. This is the profit motive that is keeping our border open. It's not just the Democrats who want the captive voters. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Our powerful line of fluoride-free products is the perfect gift for yourself or others who are exploring a healthier, happier lifestyle. With options ranging from toothpaste to oral spray, it's easy to find the perfect option for you. Super Blue Toothpaste is the fan-favorite fluoride-free toothpaste that every InfoWarrior loves. Powered by iodine and nano silver, it's designed to deliver a powerful clean while supporting good oral health and fresh breath. Available in 2 refreshing flavors. Enjoy a minty fresh flavor made with peppermint oil or try our bubblegum flavor. Super Blue Immune Gargle is the only option for on-the-go immune system support like no other. With the scientifically proven patented ingredient Silver Sol in 3 different sizes, you can take it wherever you go. Support good oral health with our one-of-a-kind Super Blue products. Don't miss out on revolutionizing your morning routine. Head to InfoWarsStore.com and get our line of Super Blue products today.